Afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Sess, your host from BTMI, and it's truly a pleasure to have you all here. We're delighted to have our wonderful sponsor, Donaldson, with us today, who'll be presenting this webinar titled Supporting Process and Product Integrity. Let me introduce our esteemed guest speaker for today. Today we have Jürgen Beckman, Director of Sales at Donaldson. As Donaldson's Sales Director of Field Operational Support and System Engineered Solution, Jürgen has a deep understanding of customer needs and global manufacturing markets. He has been supporting Donaldson's customers for over 20 years from his early years as a Donaldson area sales engineer, where he was responsible for technical and commercial consulting for end users, resellers, and dealers. To his current role, Jürgen has specialized in helping customers identify the right filtration and then providing ongoing support through the system's life cycle. Now, before we dive into the platform, I want to welcome you all to On24 platform. This webinar is browser-based, so if you get disconnected for any reason, just click the link in your email to rejoin. We'll also be running a few polls during the session, and we'd love for you to participate. And today's webinar is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch it on demand later. If you have any questions during the webinar, we'd love to hear them. Simply type them into the questions widget at the bottom of your screen and click submit. We'll save some time at the end for a Q&A session to go over your queries. To download your attendance certificate, follow the instructions on the widget, and don't forget to check out the related resource widget for more helpful materials. After the webinar, we'd appreciate it if you could take a moment to fill out the survey to share your feedback with us. And if you need any technical assistance, the help widget is available to support you, and you can also resize or maximize any of the windows on your screen for a better view of the slides. Now, without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Jürgen.
Thank you, Sess, for the introduction. And I would also like to extend a warm welcome to this for this 1-hour webinar, which will focus on process and product integrity in relation to compressed air and process filtration. We will discuss how you can contribute to these efforts within your field of responsibility. Let's take a moment to review the agenda and outline what you can expect to learn during today's session. Following this brief introduction, we will explore regulatory standards and good manufacturing practices, also called GMPs, that may impact your processes. We will explore how to establish compliant sterile air and liquid applications in accordance with regulations and GMPs. Additionally, we will discuss how we can assist you in achieving product and process integrity through our purification products and services. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to an engaging and informative session. But first, Sess, let's start with a poll question.
Yep, of course. Now let's begin with our first poll. The poll should now be on your screen. Now, the first question is, how familiar are you with regulatory standards and good manufacturing practices for compressed air and liquid filtration in the F&B industry? Now, we've got quite a few different answers there, so we'll give you some time to think about your answer and click on it and submit. Now I could see some responses coming in, so thank you. It's always interesting to see what you think of our question. So feel free to drop any additional thoughts or questions in the Q&A widget. Okay, now let's look at our results. Results should be on your screen now. Okay, great. Thanks for your responses. It looks like many of you have some familiarity with these standards and practice, but there's still room to dive deeper, and we're excited to explore these key areas further in today's session. So now I'll hand it back to Jürgen.
Thank you, Ses. So while I recognized that many of you participating in this webinar are engaged in the food and beverage production sector, I would like to begin by addressing the fundamental question of why product and process integrity is essential for all stakeholders involved. Let's consider the perspective of the end consumer first. Consumer expectations are notably high. They seek products that are healthy, safe, and sustainable, all at a fair price, among other requirements. Food and beverage retailers are responding to this demand by ensuring that they not only acquire products that at competitive prices, but perhaps more importantly, that these products are sourced through a robust supply chain and meet high-quality standards. Consequently, food and beverage producers need to follow to strict quality standards to effectively serve the market. While cost effectiveness is undoubtedly a critical factor, maintaining the integrity of processes and products is paramount. Manufacturers can depend on their suppliers, who are qualified in market regulations and have tailored their products and services to meet these requirements. Donaldson, as a dedicated supplier to the food and beverage industry, is committed to upholding process and product integrity in accordance with market standards. Why not take a moment to explore global regulatory standards and good manufacturing procedures while examining their differences and similarities? Please be advised that the following pages provide an overview of standards which may vary by region. We also encourage you to seek additional information from the national regulatory bodies responsible for your area. So what are regulatory standards? They are applicable laws, regulations, policies, and procedures, standards, and other rules issued by governments and regulatory bodies like the FDA or the European Union, for example, just to mention two. They ensure the quality and integrity of food. The focus of these standards is on material specifications, testing methods, product standards, compliance criteria, labeling, and other technical or policy criteria. Good manufacturing practices provide guidance for manufacturing, testing, and quality assurance to secure that manufactured products are safe for human consumption or use. Many countries have legislated that manufacturers follow GMP procedures and create their own GMP guidelines that correspond with their legislation. Regulatory standards and good manufacturing practices play a crucial role in ensuring process and product integrity. Furthermore, whether you are producing food or beverages, consumers will value the high quality of your products. And if we are now going through the regulatory standards and GMPs, feel free to put questions in the chat if you have some. Let's have a look at the current regulations and their meaning for the food and beverage industry. For example, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, was founded in 1906 in the United States. It was founded to protect public health by ensuring safety, efficiency, and security of various products like food, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, and cosmetics. The FDA's main focus is on research, evaluating new products, monitoring food supply safety, and enforcing regulations to ensure that products meet established standards. FDA's guidelines and approvals are a model for other regulations and has a global influence. FDA products approved by the FDA are often credited and accepted in international markets. The International Organization for Standardization, also called ISO, is an independent, non-governmental international body that develops and publishes global standards across various industries. Founded in 1947, ISO aims to ensure quality, safety, efficiency, and integration of products, services, and systems worldwide. It is composed of national standardization bodies from different countries and works to harmonize technical specifications and guidelines to facilitate international trade and improve the quality of life. In the year 2006, the British Compressed Air Society was founded in the UK. The BCAS is a trade association based in the United Kingdom, dedicated to promoting the use of compressed air as a reliable and efficient energy source. It offers guidance, support, and resources to help organizations leverage compressed air technology effectively. BCAS members include manufacturers, suppliers, and end users of compressed air equipment. The primary objective of this society is to raise awareness of best practices, safety standards, and energy efficiency within the industry. Through a collaboration with international organizations, the BCAS actively participates in global discussions on compressed air technology and standards while solidifying its global role. In collaboration with the British Retail Consortium, the BRC, and here let's go back to the first page that we've seen, where we have learned that retailers play an important role in the value chain. The British Compressed Air Society developed the UK Code for Practice for Good Grade Air. This document serves as a guideline for BCAS recommendations regarding the quality of compressed air, particularly in applications involving direct contact with food or in high-risk scenarios where there is no direct food contact. The key parameters outlined in the code include a low humidity content, for example, by the use of an adsorption dryer, the removal of particles, a low oil concentration, which includes vapors and aerosols. These standards can be compared to ISO 8573, which we will discuss in detail later. As previously mentioned, the British Compressed Air Society provides guidelines on how compressed air should be treated. In addition to these recommendations, there are standards that define the design and fabrication of equipment used in manufacturing processes, ensuring both process and product integrity. 3A Sanitary Standards is an organization dedicated to ensuring the hygienic design principles and fabrication of equipment used in the food, beverage, and pharmaceutical industry. It establishes benchmark hygiene and safety standards for processing food by providing detailed criteria for the design, the construction, and maintenance of equipment. Key factors such as materials, surface finishes, and cleanability must be carefully selected to prevent contamination and ensure product safety. Regulation 1935/2004 of the European Parliament and Council, established in October 2004, serves as a key framework for food contact materials. This regulation establishes the requirements for materials and articles intended to come into contact with food. It ensures that these materials do not transfer their components to food in a way that would jeopardize human health or cause unacceptable changes in the food's composition, taste, or odor. As this regulation is accepted and enforced across all EU member states, it provides a harmonized approach to food safety and consumer protection within the European Union. One European regulatory framework is also the International Featured Standard IFS, which ensures the safety and quality of products in both food and non-food sectors. Developed by a consortium of German and French retailers, IFS reflects their strong commitment to providing customers with high-quality products. This approach is similar to the founding principles behind BCAS in the UK, which was established for similar reasons. IFS provides a framework for companies to demonstrate their commitment to quality and safety within their supply chains. It is widely accepted across various countries, particularly in Europe, where their certification is recognized by numerous retailers and food manufacturers. Moreover, IFS is gaining traction in other regions globally as companies seek to meet international quality and safety standards. Compliance with IFS not only enhances credibility, but also facilitates trade and enables companies to export their products to European markets. Let's take a closer look at chart number 6 of the IFS Integrity Program, which summarizes the activities involved. The proposal emphasizes the importance of monitoring integrity through a risk-based approach. On-site audits, whether announced or unannounced, are also included in this framework and must be taken into account. It is important to note that any breaches can have a negative impact on the IFS certification. The IFS glossary states the following regarding compressed air. If compressed air comes into direct contact with food or primary packaging materials, it must be monitored to ensure safety. Additionally, compressed air should not present any contamination risks. It is crucial to establish key roles at all food and beverage sites that are responsible for maintaining process and product integrity. Let's get back to Sess for the next poll question.
Thank you, Jürgen. And here's our second poll. It should be on your screen right now. Now, the question is, how frequently does your facility review and update its GMP protocols for compressed, AI, or liquid purification systems? Now, we've got a few different answers here. Annually, every 2 years, every 5 years, only when there are regulatory changes, or we do not have a regular review process. Okay, so I'll give everyone some time to go through that. Okay, I can see some great insights coming in. Okay, great. And again, this is for compressed air or liquid purification systems. Now remember, there are no wrong or right answers here. This is just about understanding where we are at as a group. I'll give you a few more seconds to have a good little think on how you review your compressed air or liquid purification systems. Okay, and now let's move on to the results. You should see the results on your screen now. Okay, great. So it looks like many of you are taking the active steps to review and update your facilities. And again, staying up to date is crucial, and Donaldson has various solutions to support you in this process. So if you'd like more details, check out the resource widget. And now back to you, Jürgen.
Yeah, thank you. Great result, in my opinion. So, and now that we understand what standards should be in place and what regulations we should comply with, we can get into how to achieve these standards in your facility. And let's get deeper into compressed air purification and process filtration and how they should look like to reach the needed purities. We will guide you through the topic of compressed air and sterile air filtration, emphasizing the significance of critical control points and point of use filtration. First of all, let's talk about quality standards for compressed air. We can differentiate between industrial air that can be classified by the ISO 8573 and process air that is mostly in direct or indirect contact with food or packaging and needs to be sterile air. There are several regional application recommendations that need to be taken care of. One example is the VDMA 15390 for the German region. We'll start with industrial compressed air. Why does compressed air need filtration and purification? Well, without compressed air purification, we are facing particle contamination, corrosion, bacteria growth, and humidity, just to mention some impacts. So there is more than just one reason to purify compressed air. First reason could be, for example, to protect equipment and tools. Compressed air can contain water, oil, dust, and other contaminants. These particles can damage or clog sensitive machinery, tools, and pneumatic systems, leading to costly repairs or downtime. Also, with compressed air purification, we can improve the efficiency. Contaminants in compressed air can reduce the efficiency of systems, leading to higher energy consumption. Clean air ensures that equipment operates at its optimum efficiency. Additionally, we can actively ensure product quality. In industries like pharmaceuticals, food processing, or electronics, contamination from compressed air can affect product quality and safety. Purified air helps maintain the integrity of manufacturing processes and the final product. Furthermore, purifying compressed air is compliant with regulations. Many industries are subject to strict regulations regarding air purity. For example, ISO standards often require clean air in manufacturing processes to ensure product quality and safety. Summarizing, you can say purifying compressed air helps to ensure smooth operation, product quality, safety, and cost efficiency in your industrial application. The ISO 8573 sorts compressed air quality into different classes based on the maximum allowable concentration of particles, pressure dew point, and oil in vapor and aerosol form. By using defined compressed air purification technology, you are able to reach the classes you need in your production site. Let's take a moment to explore compressed air and its relevance to various applications. Maybe you find your compressed air quality requirements in this graph. Do you require air for high quality applications, or do you also utilize compressed air for general purposes? For instance, the quality requirements for general purposes can be classified as 2-4-2. We can achieve this classification by installing at least a fridge dryer with pre-filtration, along with a micro Corlescher filter that effectively removes all oil aerosols. This setup would result in a pressure dew point of +3 degrees and a residual oil volume of 0.03 milligrams per cubic meter, as outlined in the ISO table. On the other hand, compressed air intended for high-quality applications, and this is maybe where many of you may identify, should meet class 121 standards. To achieve this, an absorption dryer, an absorption dryer with a pressure dew point of -40 degrees is typically used, along with a high-performance Corlescher filter and an active carbon absorber and a high-class particle filter. This configuration ensures a pressure dew point of -40 degrees and a class 1 oil concentration of 0.003 milligrams per cubic meter. It's important to note that activated carbon absorbs the vapor portion of oil, and to meet class 1 standards, both oil vapors and aerosols must effectively be removed. Always keep in mind that a low pressure dew point indicates a low level of humidity within your compressed air system. This reduction in moisture helps inhibit the growth of bacteria. Thereby, you indirectly support your operational integrity through the use of an absorption dryer. After going through industrial-grade pre-filtration, the compressed air is ready for final filtration before it comes into contact with the product or product contact surface. Why should already purified compressed air be treated point of use as well? There is one very important reason: to prevent from health hazards. Contaminants like bacteria, fungi, or other harmful particles in the air can pose health risks to workers and products, especially in environments where air is used for breathing air or comes into contact with food and its packaging. If compressed air comes into direct or indirect contact with food, it is highly advisable to implement a sterile air filter, ideally positioned at the point of use. Up front, the air should meet class 1 standards concerning particle load and total oil content, which includes both oil in vapor and in aerosol form. The picture illustrates one potential design for the system. In this case, the sterile air filter is protected by an additional point of use particle and oil filter element in front of the sterile element. In order to keep the system clean and integer, you should be able to inline sterilize your sterile air filter with steam, but we will talk about that more later. And now one more question from Seth's side.
Thank you, Jürgen. All right, everyone, let's wrap up our polls with this last question. The question is, what is the primary application of compressed air in your facility? Now, this question should be on your screen now. Now we've got a few different answers. A for packaging, B for processing, C for cleaning, D for conveying materials, and lastly E can specify by Q&A widget or the chat. Now looking at the results, I'm seeing that we're having some great engagement so far. And remember, it's okay if you're still processing everything. I'll give everyone a few more seconds to submit their answer. Okay, I'm seeing more people submitting, so that's fantastic. And again, if you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A widget down below, and we'll go through your questions later on the webinar after the presentation has concluded. All right, now I'll move on to the results. Perfect. And it looks like we have a variety of applications for compressed air across different facilities, which is great. And no matter how you use it, ensuring efficiency and proper maintenance is key. And we'll be covering best practice solutions in the slides. And I want to thank you all for participating in the polls. It's been making the webinar engaging. And now let's move on to the next segment. So I'll pass it over to Jürgen again.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks, Sess. And now we will guide you through the topic of sterile liquid filtration, emphasizing the significance of critical control points and point of use filtration. Also in liquid filtration, you want to ensure that a clean and proper process is supporting integrity. As you can see here, we are differentiating several steps of filtration that can lead to a sterile step at the end. Let's have a look at the full flow system that we see in this picture. The first step that we see here is most often a nominal filtration. It reduces the particle load and the number of suspended solids in the liquid. The second step of the filtration is already more sophisticated. It protects following downstream filtration steps and ideally uses an absolute rated depth filter. Last but not least, the final filtration. This step guarantees the bacterial safety and simply focuses on the retention of bacteria. The filter elements are membrane filters and should be sterilized before usage, as they have a sterile grade when they leave our production site, but they are not sterilized yet. All these steps can be tailored to your needs so GMPs and regulations can be fulfilled. Inline steam is an effective method for sterilizing your compressed air and sterile liquid systems. It can be utilized in food applications for inline sterilization and even for heating food products. When using steam in food applications, it is essential to ensure that the steam is purified through a 5 or 1 micrometer steam element. If no additives are introduced into the steam, we can achieve culinary grade steam. For other steam applications, such as process steam, purification can be accomplished by using a 25 micron filter element. We would also like to draw your attention on our sterilization guide, in which we show the best way to carry out our inline sterilization. If you have any questions regarding the installation and integration of steam with sterile air or liquid applications, please don't hesitate to contact us, and our Donaldson sales engineers can support you in evaluating the right steps that are tailored to your needs. In the final segment of this webinar, we will explore the various ways you can actively contribute to the process and product integrity of your production site, as well as how Donaldson can assist you in achieving these goals. You may already be aware that we have 74 service technicians across Europe dedicated to the maintenance of compressed air purification systems, and one of them may be located near your facility. Donaldson is continuously enhancing the offerings to provide you with on-site support, and we encourage you to reach out to your local Donaldson representative to inquire about the specific services related to compressed air quality and process integrity that may be available in your region. We offer a wide range of services designed to ensure the integrity of your products and processes, and these services can be conducted either at your production facility or in one of Donaldson's laboratories, which are equipped with advanced capabilities. Consider how we can enhance your operational integrity, testing sterile air or sterile liquid components, either on-site or in our laboratories. Additionally, we can assist you in auditing and validating the quality of your compressed air indicative to ISO 8573 standards, as well as provide various other laboratory services tailored to your needs. We will explore several of these capabilities in more details shortly. One of the key capabilities of our field service is the assessment of line integrity, conducted in compliance with IFS and other relevant standards for on-site integrity testing and completed with documented results. The DOP integrity test is carried out by our service or laboratory team with the Donaldson Filter Test Center, the FTCI. With the FTCI, food-grade paraffin oil is atomized into fine droplets measuring 0.2 micrometers, which are then introduced into the filter module for testing at a pressure of 1.5 bars. Donaldson's sterile air filter is specifically designed to eliminate over 99.99998% of bacteria-sized contaminants at 0.2 micrometers. Our robust document management system ensures that we meet the highest standards required in the food and beverage industry. The Donaldson MembraCheck, the automated tester for sterile liquid and air membrane filter elements, can either test on-site or in a laboratory and includes methods such as the diffusion test, the bubble point test, pressure drop measurement, and the water intrusion test. Also here, Donaldson will provide proper documentation of all test results that will be helpful in case that you are audited. It is essential to measure key parameters of compressed air. As previously mentioned, we can determine the required classes based on the ISO 8573 standard. Donaldson is equipped to measure all parameters outlined in ISO 8573 using methods and equipment that indicate compliance with these standards. The parameters we assess include the number and size of particles, the pressure dew point, the concentration of oil in vapor and aerosol form, as well as a bacterial colony count. Donaldson's testing methods, along with our comprehensive documentation, provide valuable support in evaluating the effectiveness of your on-site compressed air treatment efforts. Allow me to revisit the story I shared earlier. As we discussed, we explored the reason why process and product integrity is essential. Over the past half hour, we have gained valuable insights into the various stakeholders involved and how each of us can contribute to ensuring process and product integrity. Let us work together to meet the market's demand for healthy, sustainable, and safe food. We invite you to partner with Donaldson to ensure that your processes and procedures align with the needs of all stakeholders involved, including distributors and consumers. If you want to learn more about Donaldson's products and how they are built and designed according to existing regulations that we got to know earlier, don't hesitate to contact your local area sales engineer, who can provide you with additional information about potential solutions also for your operations. If you are interested in learning more about our laboratory and on-site services, also reach out to our sales engineers. They will provide you with detailed information about the options available in your region. We look forward to supporting product and process integrity at your facility as well. And with this, I say thank you for being part of the webinar, and your attendance is very much appreciated. And if you have more depth, if you want more in-depth information on any topics that we have covered, please scan the QR code located in the top left corner for additional resources. And if you would like to discuss to improve your efficiencies, conduct line audits, or explore new installations, please reach out to us using the QR code in the bottom right corner. Thank you for your attention, and I hope that we have some questions in the chat. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you, Jürgen, for your informative presentation. Now let's dive into our Q&A session. A quick reminder for our audience: to ask questions, simply use the questions widget. Just type them into the box at the bottom of your screen and click submit. Now we have some questions already from the attendees, so let me kick things off with this first question. How often do I need to test my gas or liquid filters for integrity?
Yeah. Okay. How often do I have to test the filters on integrity? It always depends on why you would like to test them. That's maybe the first question. So a lot of customers are testing every filter element when they exchange the filter element. They want to confirm that the filter element has been integer during the last weeks or months of usage. And they also want to confirm that the filter element that they are assembling into their system is integer, and so the future application is integer. So that could be one reason for testing the integrity. It could also be that there is a protocol, for example. We have seen that a lot of our listeners and viewers, guests have protocols that they update once a year. Maybe these protocols are asking for integrity tests as the IFS would ask them for. We are, for example, proposing that a test should be done once a month, for example. We should also test the integrity of filter elements if we want to see what is the real lifetime. How long is my filter element integer? There are so many different parameters that have an influence on the lifetime of the filter element. that I should maybe test the filter element on integrity more often to get to the closest real lifetime when it's still integer in my operations. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you, Jürgen, and thank you, Tandy, for that interesting question. Now let's keep the pace going and jump on to the next one. And the question is, my filter keeps losing integrity before 100 sterilization cycles. What could be a reason?
Okay. I guess the 100 sterilization cycle, this guest is referring to the 100 sterilization cycles that we mention in our documentation. And we have to know that the 100 sterilization cycles we are mentioning during, let's say, conditions that we are expecting from our customer. So if the customer is sterilizing the system with steam, we are saying that the filter element is lasting for 100 sterilization cycles. For example, at a steam pressure of 2 bars, which means 120 degrees, then the customer can sterilize 30 minutes. With 30 minutes, 15 minutes pre-filter heating up and also cooling down. So in total, that's 60 minutes in total of sterilization. We have, if the customer is using 3 bars of steam pressure, the temperature is already at 130 degrees. 4 bars, 140 degrees. We have found a couple of times that customers are sterilizing with 5 bars, which means 150 degrees. So you can imagine that a high temperature and the humidity is wearing out a filter media. So the higher the temperature and the longer the sterilization cycle, the more the medium is wearing out, which means that also maybe in your case, you have high pressure temperature of steam, and this could affect the integrity of the media. Also, one question is, how do you filter your steam? So if you've got, as we have learned before, a filter element for steam that maybe only has 25 micron retention rate, it could be that smaller particles are literally shooting through your sterile filter and the integrity is gone. I hope this answers the question.
Wonderful. Thank you for your insightful answer again. And thank you for that question, attendee. Now let's move on to the next question. And this was a common question from our attendees. And it's, when does it make sense to use an adsorption dryer? When does it make sense to use an adsorption dryer? That is the question.
Okay. Yeah, perfect question. And we are discussing this a lot of times with customers, and it's almost a philosophy if the customer is using an adsorption dryer or the alternative is a fridge dryer, the refrigerant dryer. And let's compare the values of the compressed air when it's exiting the adsorption or the fridge dryer, and you will see that it really makes really oftentimes it makes sense to use an adsorption dryer. A fridge dryer which has a pressure dew point of +3 degrees, the air that is coming out of the fridge dryer has still 5 grams of humidity per cubic meter. Now multiply this by the volume that you are compressing and pumping into your system, multiply the 5 grams of humidity by the volume, cubic meters per hour, and you have all the humidity that you are pushing into your application. In comparison to that, the adsorption dryer, let's say ideally with minus 40 degrees pressure dew point, only has a rest of humidity which is 0.04 grams per cubic meter. So the fridge dryer has 100 times more humidity that is pressed into your systems, 100 times more. And this, of course, is a value that could be or should be an argument for you to also understand that every humidity that you are pressing into your system could be supporting bacterial growth, for example. It could support the corrosion of your pipes if you still have at some point also carbon pipings, for example. So it's the quality of air is mainly influencing the quality of your product, of your systems. And one very important reason to use an adsorption dryer is when your compressed air is running through outside areas, for example, where it's sometimes, for example, in winter or fall times, under 3 degrees Celsius, which means that if the compressed air is cooled down to below 3 degrees, the remaining water in the system is condensating, and if it's really freezing outside, this water can freeze in the pipes and can lead to an emergency because it can freeze the whole pipe and bring it to be bursted. So adsorption dryers make sense in regards of quality of products, but also in regards of the protection of your equipment.
Thank you, Jürgen, and thank you for that engaging question, attendee. Just a little reminder for everyone, you still can ask questions using the Q&A widget at the bottom of your screen. Now let's dive into our next question. Okay. Is it possible to test filters in line regarding integrity? Is it possible to test?
Yes, we've got to differentiate here between sterile air filters and sterile liquid filters. So membrane filters like the PSWN, for example, which is a membrane for liquids, or the PTN, which is a membrane for air. Those we can test inline because we can add the membrane check. This is the equipment with which we are testing our filter elements, our membrane filter elements. We can adapt that to filter housings. And indeed, we can inline test with a pressure hold test the integrity of liquid and air membranes. It's a little bit more difficult for sterile air elements. The FTCI has the connection for the filter elements in the system itself. And we are giving, as mentioned earlier, paraffin oil onto the filter element. And this we prefer to do with the FTCI, so not inline. But for liquid applications, yes, we could do the inline testing for integrity.
Great, thank you, Jürgen. And I'll ask this final question before closing off our Q&A session. And this is an attendee from Brazil. Is mobile service in Brazil? Is there any training inside of Brazil plant open that personal people can participate in?
That's a really good question. So we are building up the process filtration service team right now. We are not in Brazil yet with integrity testing, but we are planning, as we said, we are developing our service team, and yes, if there is any change and if we have more capabilities also in Latin America, especially in Brazil, we will let you know. Just leave your name and contact, and we will get in contact with you afterwards. Good question. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yes. And that and with that, we can conclude our Q&A session. I want to thank you again for all your fantastic answers and insightful answers as we're approaching the end of our webinar. I'll have to wrap this up, but please don't worry if we haven't addressed your questions yet, as our speaker and team will follow up with you after the webinar, and you can get in touch with the QR code on your screen. And you can also use the QR code on the top left for more resources. And that brings us to the end of our session, and we'll give you back some time back. And to conclude, I want to give a huge thank you to Jürgen for his expert insights, and to our sponsor Donaldson for making this webinar possible. To all our attendees, keep an eye out on your email for instructions on accessing the on-demand version of this webinar, and you can also find it on our website. Stay connected for more exciting webinars. Follow us on X and LinkedIn company page at BTMI Webinars. And once again, thank you for joining us today, and I wish you all a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you also from my side.